Welcome to this video. In today's video, we want to do this wonderful project. This project is for beginners to help you understand how JavaScript works and also to know how you can manipulate HTML done with JavaScript. And this is a full project. If you like this project, give it to us and subscribe to our channel. So you're going to get this kind of videos and you're going to get more other sophisticated videos that can help you to learn more. And let's get started. So this project is a simple countdown timer that allows you to enter seconds when you want your time to end, the timer to end. Like if I enter 60 seconds, it means that the timer will count down from 60 down to 0. So once it gets to 0, the timer will stop. So how it works is, let's just give it a try. So if I click on start, the timer start counting down from here. So you're going to see the remaining time. Time countdown is very essential in programming, especially when you want to do things that relate with time constraints. So I just decided to record this video. So some of the things you'll be getting in this video we'll be talking about is how to use set timer function and click event listener to manipulate the HTML DOM. So guys, once the timer ends, you're going to get it that time is up. So this is the project we're going to handle today. So you give it a try. Remember to subscribe to my channel and drop your comment in the comment section down there. I'm going to attend to them. Then give it a thumbs up and share it. All right, guys. Once it's up to 0, we're going to get timer, and that timer cannot go again. So guys, let's go there. So guys, I just created a folder named countdown timer. Then I open it with Visual Studio Code. We're going to use Visual Studio Code for as our text editor for this. So I have countdown timer folder. You can create folder anywhere on your system and open it in Visual Studio Code. You can create any folder. So we're going to create the first HTML file that we're going to use and work with this, and we're going to create the style sheet as well as the JavaScript file. So let's go there. So for the HTML, I'm going to name it index.html. So you can name it anything, index.html. Okay, so let's start coding HTML. Now there's a shortcut for bringing out the HTML format. You just click on exclamation mark, then you hit on enter. If you are using Visual Studio Code, this will give you the HTML structure format that we need, which is the doc type, the HTML opening tag itself, the head, and the body, followed by the closing tag of the HTML. So guys, if you are not using Visual Studio Code and your editor is not that smart, you have to type this. But if you are using Visual Studio Code, then you can just follow along with me. All right, so we have the basic structure of HTML. So this head, of course, you know, anything inside the head will not show on the main web page, but is used for the optimization of the website. Okay, there are some other things that are here which you're going to see later as we continue in this video. Then the body, anything within the body section will show up in the web page. So let me just quickly show you how this is. So I'm opening the HTML that page now. So now you can see that we have nothing. But if I go back here, the title we have, let me have the title countdown. Countdown timer. All right, countdown timer. If you check here, you're going to see it up here, countdown timer. So anything inside this title will display up here, while anything inside the body will display on the main page itself. All right, guys, so let's just continue and give it up to this goal. So now that we have this set up, the first thing we have is the index.html down here. All right, okay, so I want to create another file. Then I want to call it style.css. That's for the CSS file. We are using a standard styling style sheet to style our work. Then lastly, I'm going to have script.js. That's JavaScript. All right, so for us to proceed, first of all, we have the countdown timer, we have header, and we have the input field where you enter the seconds. We have the buttons for starting the countdown, and we have a display where we display the countdown. So I'll start with a general container that will give us that background shape. All right. But before then, I want to link up the CSS. So you're going to see, and I'll likely want to make this to be one side. So you're going to see as we are making changes, you're going to see them in real time and know exactly what we are working on. So let me just get this. All right. Okay. So this is right. Okay, this is our web page. We visualize using Chrome. You can use any browser, web browser to visualize this. I'm using Chrome. You can use Firefox or anyone you feel like using. All right, so guys, I just bring it up here so you're going to see the changes. Now we have our style sheet here. The first thing I need to do is to link up the style sheet, this style.css. I want to link it to HTML so that any style we apply will definitely come up. So as I told you before, in the head section of this page, there are many other things that we can add up here apart from the metadata and the style and the title. So we can also link up all our style sheet down here. So to link a standard style sheet, you use the word command. So if you type command, this very first one, you can click on it, then you're going to have the syntax and have real style sheet, then hrel. The rel is relative of style sheet, and we have hyperreference where we are referencing the style sheet. So in the hyperreference, we're going to provide the path to the style sheet down there. So if I do ./, I'll definitely have access to all the files in this particular directory. So I'll just click here, then I'm going to have it. All right, guys. So having said that, so even though you did not call this ./, even though you leave it like this, it's still going to work, but I like to use it this way. All right, guys, so that is linked up successfully. So first of all, I want to bring up the general, remove all the padding and the margin of the entire body. So that is, if I do, I'm going to have the star in the style sheet. Now we are in the style sheet, right? I'm on the style sheet now. So I'll just make sure that I have box sizings of box border or border box so that it can be somehow responsive. Then I'm going to set the margin to 0, as well as I'm going to set the padding to 0 of the entire body. And I'm going to set the default font family. All right. Then I want to use Arial. All right. These are the three I want to use. All right. So for the body, I want to give it, I want to call this body tag. This body now, I want to style the entire body, global style for the body down here. So I'll call the body elements down here. So when you are calling the body, right, as an HTML element, you just call the element name. So it will apply to the name, as you know that there are different ways we can select an element. So I want to make it flex, display of flex. Then I want to give it, make sure that everything is at the center, right? Okay, is at the center. Let's go back to the HTML so that you're going to see how it changes as we type. So let me bring out the general div with a container with a class name of timer container. So the shortcut to get that is to type dot timer dash container. All right, and press tab or enter. All right, what it means, that dot is a short way of calling a class, a div with a class name. That is the shortest way of writing that. All right, so since I have that, I want to have head2 with countdown timer. All right, that's what I want to have. So look here, the changes are being applied immediately. Then I want to have an input field, input of type number, because we'll be entering numbers of seconds. Then I want to have an ID, which we will call in the JavaScript. This is how to set the ID. ID is a defined, it's a unique, shall I say, identifier for a particular element. So it can either be ID or class, right? This is a class, a unique identifier for this div element being a class identifier. Then this is an ID identifier for this input only with a name. That means anytime we want to do anything with this input, we call the identifier name, which is seconds input. All right, I want to have a placeholder in the input field. Then I'll say enter seconds. All right, so you can see the changes right away here as we are typing, right? So okay, seconds. All right, so now that we have this second setup, then let's have the button, and the button, I want to give it an ID of start splitting. All right, then I'm going to say start timer. All right, right away. Then let's have a display where we're going to display the countdown below. So I'm going to have a paragraph down. So the short way of achieving the paragraph with an ID, you can just do p hash, that way, then the name of the ID. So I can say countdown display. All right, so if I press on tab, it's going to give me a paragraph element with an ID name countdown display. I misspelled this, so let me correct it. Okay, so I can put initial value inside here. time remaining. All right, then 0 seconds. Okay. All right, guys. So this is what we have. This is the normal structure with HTML, the structure of the web page. But now I'm going to apply style to make it look good. All right, we are done with the HTML. So we are going down to style it. This is what we have before. If I remove this style, see what will happen. They're going to be margin left and right, then padding left and right, top and bottom, right? Okay. Then you're going to have this small space up here. So I don't want that space to be there. That's why I remove it, right? So set margin to 0, padding to 0, and set a default font family. All right, guys. So the next thing we're going to do, I want to style the body of this. So I'm going to call body. Body, I want to display flex because I want it to center right here, to be at the center of this page, both left and right, top and bottom at the very center. So I want it flex so I can center it. Then I'm going to justify it, justify content center. All right, to shift it to the middle center. Justify content center will justify it and will make it be at the center of the left and the right. All right, guys. I don't know whether I explain it well, but you have seen how it shifted. All right, and that is exactly what I wanted you to see, to know what each of these CSS properties are doing. So once you set to be for a particular element to be a flex, you can now use justify to position it any way you want it to be. So if I now use align items center, I want to align it well, what do we call it, vertically, right? But for this to work fine, you need to set the height because the fill height now is not spanning to the end. Let me just set one border so you're going to understand it stops. So if I say border 1 pixels, 1 pixels red, let's just use it that way. 1 pixel solid red. Sorry. Okay. Do you see that this is where the container wrapping the body stop, the body container. So even though you use align item center, it cannot shift it down because it's supposed to shift it vertically down, right? So that it will be at the middle, right? So what we need to do to achieve this is to set the height, to make sure that we set the height of the body, the minimum height, right? Okay, so we can now, I'll now remove this, then I'm going to set height to be 100 fill height, 100 ph, so it can now span. You now see that it spans. Then if I still add the border now, border 1 pixel solid, okay, you're going to see that it spans. Can you see where it stops? Down here. You can just see the down here. All right, so that's what makes it span. Okay, so we have that. Next thing, we want to set the background color of the entire body. I want to make it 84, 84, 84. All right, so it will be somehow dimmer. All right, so we have gotten this and everything is good. Oh, the next thing I want to do, I want to style this container, this timer container. That was why we gave it a class name of timer container. So that is what we want to style it. I just want to copy timer. Then down here, I'll do dot. When you are using a class, you're going to follow it with dot in CSS to select it. So the first thing I want to do, I want to set the width of this to be 90%. 90%. All right. Then I want to bring the maximum width. Let it not be more than 400 pixels. 400 pixels as well. Okay. Then I want to set the background, so we'll see what we are doing currently to be white. White is F3. Okay. All right, you can see how the container looks like down here. Okay, so I want to bring padding in. I want the padding to be 30 pixels right away. Okay, we are getting this small. So let's give it a border radius of about 8 pixels, and also the box shadow. Box shadow will give us a kind of shadow at the side. So the first is 0, then we have 4 pixels, and we have 8 pixels. Then the color I want is RGBA, so we have a kind of transparent somehow. RGBA, I want to have 0, 0, 0, then the opacity should be 0.1, 0.1. All right, so that is, we have a little bit of shadow that way. Then I want to make the items to be at the center. As you see, it's not at the center, so I can say text line, then center. Okay, I want to align everything at the center. All right, guys, so that is what we have now. The next thing I want to style straight away, so we have it done, is the input itself. So this input, want to style this input, which is BAP. Someone can type. So let's quickly go there. So I'm going to call the element. This is the element input. I'm just going to call it straight away input, like so. Then I'm going to give it a width of 100%. 100%. Okay, so it will span everywhere. Then I'm going to give padding of 10%, 10 pixels rather. Then okay, I'm going to give margin top and bottom. So margin top, so that we have some, and 10 pixels, 10 pixels. All right, then margin bottom, margin bottom, I'm going to give it 15 pixels, so look better. All right, so I want to give it somehow border. Let me give it some border. I'm going to give border 1 pixel solid, 1 pixel solid. The color is going to be 50. All right. Okay, so it will be somehow fainted. Then let's give it border radius. Border radius of 4 pixels. 4 pixels. All right. Border radius, sorry, border radius. Okay, so the border radius will curve it small here, while border itself give it this small shadowed line and all that. So next thing, now that we have this, the next thing we want to look at is the start timer button. So we're just going to style it straight away. Start timer button, the name is button. Look at it here, right? So we're just going to call it button and style it very fast. I want to give it a width of 100 pixels or 100%. Let it span everywhere. Yeah, I want it to span very well. Then I want to also give padding of 10 pixels, as well as I want to give background color of somehow light I'll call background rather of this is the color and the 7 all right, that is the color I want. Then I want to make the text color to be white, so you can just do color white. The color element will make the text white here. All right, so I can remove the border because you see how the border on the button looks. So let's remove the border. We can give it none so that the border will not be there. Then I will give some border radius of 4 pixels, and lastly, we make the cursor to the pointer. So now if you point, nothing happens. So we'll make cursor to the pointer. So now if I point, it will turn the cursor to pointer. All right, guys. So the next thing is to add some over effect. If you hover, nothing happens. So we're going to add some over. So we're going to do button, then sudo, then we're going to call over. All right, then we're going to give it a background of a little bit from what we had before. All right, so we're going to have add 005633. All right, so if we offer now, it's going to dim down small. All right, guys, so that is what we have. So now we are gradually getting to what we want, right? Okay, this text is somehow closer to this. Let me bring it down small so I can have margin button down here. Margin button. I will give it 4 pixels. All right. Okay, so we have a little bit, or we will make it 5 pixels. All right. Okay, guys. So last but not the least is to style this and make it look good, or we can even just either reduce the size of this or we'll leave it like this. So guys, this is the design. The design is good, but now if you click, nothing happens. I can enter maybe 60 seconds, click on start, then this will start counting. So the interactivity is going to be done with JavaScript, right? The styling and design, everything is ready. So we're going to set the interactivity. So we are going back to our script, right? Inside the script, nothing is there. So the first thing we need to do is for us to link up the script. We just need to link up the script to our HTML down here. So I'm going to close down this tab. Inside the HTML, down the body, the script is always added down the body. Now we're going to link up this script. So we're going to use script, because we then script this particular one with column is src. I'm just going to click there. So I can do the same thing, /, then I'm going to see the script down there. So the script is added. So we're going to confirm that the script is added, right? It has been added. Even though I click, nothing will happen, right? So let's go back to the script and start writing our JavaScript. All right. First thing first, I want to declare a variable called countdown. This is how to declare a variable. I'm going to use the keyword let so that it can allow me to override it, to reassign element to it later. So I'm just going to say let countdown, right? Then we're going to get this start button, right? Because we want to attach a listener to the start button. So anytime person click here on start, we want to take whatever that is here, right? And perform the calculations and the magic, right? And call some sort of functions on it for it to start counting. So the idea is we first of all get this start button by its ID. the start button. Look at it, we give it an ID start button. We're going to get it, and we're going to get this, and we're going to get this. So guys, let's go. To get the start button, we're going to use element.get document.get element by ID, document.get element by ID, like so. Because we gave it an ID down here, start, I can just click and copy, right? Start btn, then come down to the JavaScript and open code, because get element by ID takes a string, right? Okay, so now we can test it whether we have gotten the btn, right? So for us to test it, I can just store it. Let me just cons another variable, cons start btn equals to. So let me console log it first to see whether we have gotten the btn. So I can use log console.log. This is the shorter way of writing console.log. Just type log and click this one. Then you're going to get it. Then I can put it in start. All right, guys. So I will inspect this and open console. Then if you see it this way, look at btn id start timer, the way it is here, btn id start timer button. So you know that they have gotten it on the console. So this will get all the elements and console log it. So guys, now that we have gotten the element, we can go straight to what we want to do. I don't want to assign store it in some form of variables, because I want to attach the listener straight away, right? Okay, so I'll expand this. So I can just do dot add event listener straight there. So the event listener, there are different types of listener. If you don't know about listener, you can check out the previous video on the channel. I've recorded video about event listener on the channel, so you can learn more about listener and how it works and different types of listener. So the one we're going to use today is called click listener. So click listener. So it's going to listen to when this button is being clicked, right? Okay. So we want to attach some sort of function, because event listener take the event type and a function that is going to fire, right? So we're going to give a start countdown, the countdown. All right. Okay. So this is the function that this listener will fire once this button is being clicked. So I'm going to define the function straight away. Function, then start countdown. It's a function. All right. So once the button is clicked, it's going to fire this function. You can confirm that this works by having a console.log and testing and say clicked. So now if I click here, I'm supposed to see clicked on this console. So let's give it a try. You can see clicked. That means the listener is working fine. Okay, so whatever this function will fire once the button is being clicked. So guys, now that we are there, now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to get this input field, because I said that once this start timer button is being clicked, we should get the second that the person wants to count down to, then and perform some sort of logic with it, and the timer will count down. So we're just going to get this the value that is in this input field. For us to do that, we have already given the input field an ID called seconds input right away. So we're going to get element by ID names input. So guys, let's go straight on the point. So I'm going to find the variable const and call it seconds input, right? Seconds input, then this will be equals to document dot get element by ID. We want to whatever we get, we want to store it in this variable, which will be the value of this. So let's go and grab that ID of the second, the input field. This is the ID second input. I'm just going to copy it, then I'll return back here, then I'll paste it there. Then if I leave it this way, let me console log it down so you see what we are having down here. So that is the second input. Let me enter like 65 and click here. You see that it's getting the whole of the elements, right? The input elements with type and the whole of the HTML, but that is not what we want to get. We want to get the value, this 56 that is being entered. So for us to do that, we're going to do dot value, right? To get the value of the input, right? Okay, so now if I enter 30 now, like 30 seconds and click, you see that we have the 30 down here, right? So now we can get the value now. All right, now that we have gotten the value, the next thing we want to do down here is for us to convert the value we have gotten into a number, because currently what we have here is a string type. A string mathematical operation cannot be done on a string value. A string is anything that have a quote, right? Like a word like this that have a quote. So we need to convert it to an integer. So we're going to say we're just going to let time remaining equals to, we want to pass int, because it's going to be an integer value. We call this function pass int to convert it from string to number. Then we're going to pass in this value that we have gotten from. So now this is time remaining, time remaining. All right, so now that we have gotten this, we have successfully converted. What if the user did not enter anything here and want to start timer? You know, that would throw an error. So we're going to catch it first. So we're going to say if, we're going to use an if statement to make sure that we track that. So if is not, that is there's nothing there, that is remaining time, this remaining time, or time remaining, sorry. If this is empty, or the time remaining is less than or equals to 0, that means the person have not entered anything there. So we can throw an alert showing error, and we want to tell the person that please enter a valid number of seconds. All right, so this is how to do this. All right, so let's just give it a try that it works. I'm not going to enter anything here. I just want to start timer. So we're going to get this. Please enter a valid number of seconds. All right, so that means nothing will be done until the user is able to enter a valid number. Meanwhile, we're going to use the keyword return to make sure that the execution did not continue, that it stops here. If you use return, if this error occur, it will not do any other thing below it. All right. So now we're going to bring out a function. We're going to bring out a function that is going to perform the logic down here. So we're going to use set interval first of all. So we're going to say countdown. Remember the countdown we declared up. Countdown equals to set interval. Set interval is a function that is called every seconds depending on how you set it. So it takes a callback function that is fired every second the set interval is being called. So now that we have the set interval declared, we want to use if statement to check again if the time remaining is greater than 0 before it will continue doing the logic. So if time remaining, which is, remember this is time remaining, whatever the user enter here. If time remaining is greater than 0, we want to get this display to display the timer, right? So the display, that is the paragraph countdown display. That's what we want to get. So we want to say document dot get element by id, then document dot get element by id. Then we want to get this display counts down, right? Okay. So display countdown dot text content equals to, so we want to say we want to use emphatic comma emphatic this so that we can inject variable the remaining time into it. So we're going to say time remaining then to inject variable to it, we're going to use template string like so. Let me shift this template string. Then we're going to say time remaining so that we can dynamically display the time remaining for the user to see. Time remaining seconds. So if it is remaining 10 seconds, it will say time remaining 10 seconds while counting down. Then we're going to make sure that we minus it. Every time the time is counting, we reduce the time. So we can now say time remaining minus minus. So this will decrease the time remaining. Remember that time, if I enter 60 seconds here, as long as this interval is calling every seconds, right, it will be reducing this by 1. That's what it means. Minus minus. So it will be 60. 60 minus 1, it will remain 59. 59 minus 1, it will remain 58. Just like that till the time is 0. And remember that we check if time remaining is greater than 0. But what is not greater than 0, we're going to use an else. If the time remaining is not greater than 0, right? Okay, we're going to, first of all, we're going to get the element by id, still the countdown time, the display. So document.get element by id, document.get elements by id, the display countdown time, this display countdown time, which is what we are working with here. That is to display everything. Okay, now just paste it there. Then the text content equals to, we want to say time up. Time up. All right. So now, guys, there are some other things we want to do. So after this, after the set interval takes up a callback function that it fires, then it also takes an integer value of the seconds in milliseconds. So we want to call this timer every 1 seconds. That's 1000 milliseconds, which is every seconds, every 1 seconds. All right, so that's what we do. So guys, let's give it a try. There are some other things we need to fix up, but let's just see what we do. I want to enter 30 and click on start. Okay, you can see that the timer start counting. So we're just going to wait for it, minusing and counting down. All right. Okay. While we're still waiting for it to count down to the end, let's see what will happen. Okay. That is 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. All right, time up. But look up, you can see that this timer, right? The 30 is still there and all that. Okay, let me just try in 60 right away. 60. Okay, it start counting. I want it to clear. Every time the timer ends, that should clear, the countdown should clear. So I'm going to call the clear function inside when the timer ends, right? Immediately the timer ends. Remember, if I log this, you're going to see the value of the timer, the calculations, right? If I log this, you're going to see that I'm going to log this so you see what we are having as start. All right. So I just console log that. So let me enter 10, then we'll start. You see that we have 29, but this is counting. The 29 is not changing, right? That is the initial count, right? So as it's updating, this is still 29. So we need to clear it. At every point in time, the timer is over. We need to clear it. And before we even enter the countdown timer, we need to clear it. So I'm going to call a function clear interval, right? The clear interval function, it helps to clear the variable, as in reset it. So I want to clear this countdown timer, right? I'll clear it, the countdown timer, then I'll clear it here, then I'll still clear it before we enter, before we call the function, before we call this countdown timer function, in case there's anything. So that's just what I want to do. We'll clear the existing timer that was there. So let's give it a try now. I'm going to put 5 and here. All right. Okay. All right, it has cleared, right? Okay, so guys, this is what we have. So guys, at the end of the day, we have been able to achieve this countdown timer, wonderful countdown timer straight away. So I can just now you can count down from any time in seconds. I can enter 10 seconds and start the countdown timer. Then you're going to have it count down here and you're going to see the time remaining for the countdown to elapse. All right, guys, if you like this video, subscribe to our channel and share it. Give us a thumbs up. If you have any question, drop it on the comment box below, or if you have any specific topic you want me to record videos on, give me a shout out on the comment section down there, then I'm going to record this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you guys in the next upcoming video.